So Tom, explain to me a little bit how you are experiencing in your life right now the idea of paradox spiritually.
I just found that as God takes me further and further in the journey, that there are times when I can believe two truths that seem to be opposing to each other and understand them both to be true and not have to figure that out logically, but just know in my spirit or in my soul that they're both true. Mm-hmm. And the one that's most dramatic for me is that on April 14th of 2010, my wife was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And after we got past the shock and the question of how are we going to live with this, what does this mean to us, what are the implications? And there were two passages in Scripture that kept coming to me. One was the annunciation of Gabriel to Mary that she was going to bear Christ. Mm-hmm. And that passage, what I was hearing from God in that passage was that this experience is like that. That in a sense, this will be a holy experience for many people, a gift and a blessing to many people. And kind of Mary's reaction was like, how can this be?
What?
Doesn't sound plausible.
Yeah.
And the response being, all things are possible with God. And then the further response from Mary, let it be so. And so Mary choosing that alternative. And that was one, and the other one was when Abraham and Sarah were at their tent, and all of a sudden these three strangers show up, and they turn out to be angels, actually, and announcing that Sarah's going to have a child in her old age, which seems absurd to Abraham. And the power of that story being, and kind of hearing from God in that story for me, is to treat these strangers as guests, to treat Alzheimer's as a guest, which seems paradoxical. So,
because usually you don't want it to come in, so you don't want to bring it in.
Exactly, resist it somehow,
Resist it.
or deny it or something. So this idea that I don't believe God gave Julie Alzheimer's by a long shot. I just don't believe that's who God is. And at the same time, that this is a gift and a blessing to Julie and I and to others.
In what way?
That it is already expanding me as a person. If I just speak about myself. And that I know I'm called now to be a caregiver for her. That's my primary role. And that it will be an expansive experience for me. In a spiritual sort of a way, that I will grow as a person. I'll be a much larger person during this process.
So the paradox partly is that out of something that you thought could be so awful, it's really been a spiritual pathway to a whole new way of seeing yourself and Julie and your marriage and your ministry.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty profound.
And to hold both of those truths there. This is the worst tragedy that's going to happen in our lives, and it's one of the greatest gifts that we've ever been given.
Thanks.